Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Astral Pet Store. Author by Ancient She. Audio novels by Novelist. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 121 Upgrade failed. It was almost noon. There were a few customers outside Su Ping's store. Only some students would show up occasionally. The warm sun in the early winter shone through the glass door and into the store, driving away the cold in the air. Since Su Ping was practicing the solar bulwark, he wasn't afraid of the cold. At the moment, he was sitting in the store, with legs crossed and shaking his feet. In front of him was the systems panel showing his energy points. He had 213,692 energy points. This was the turnover for the day. To be exact, for that morning. If converted to astral coins, that would be over 20 million. That was such a stunning number. Who could have thought that such a little store could have a turnover of over 20 million Federation's astral coins in one morning? The other stores on the same street were envious of the sheer number of customers outside Su Ping's store. Even so, they would have never imagined how much money he had made. Not even some companies that had gone public could make money that quickly. All the people who wanted their middle-rank pets trained would pay 100,000 coins. In that morning alone, around 60 to 70 students had made a transaction. The majority of those who showed up had brought low-rank pets, and the training rate was 10,000 coins. After all, amongst all the students, the ones with middle-rank pets were among the most outstanding. To Su Ping, outstanding students were fat lambs, honorable guests. Su Ping felt his heart pounding after seeing so many energy points for the first time. His blood was boiling because of the excitement. Yet, he knew that he could only regard those energy points as deposits for now. He had to train all the pets to have those energy points in his account. When he reached the 4th rank, his spirit grew as well. At the current rate, his dummy trainer could train 5 pets at a time. 1 round would take 1 hour. 10 rounds could have 50 pets trained. Currently, there were over 40 pets in his training space, which was almost stuffed. The nursing pens were fully occupied as well. He had to train for over 10 hours without any rest to take care of all the pets. Su Ping was glad that he had the dummy training function. He would have been spent if he had to rely just on himself. That is the benefit of having fame. More will come pouring in as long as my services are of high quality. Su Ping's eyes were kindling. At this rate, he could accumulate 1 million energy points in a few days. With that, he would have a chance to upgrade the Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation to the 4th level. A 4th level Spirit Pool had a relatively high chance to breed Beast Kings. If he had a Beast King pet, putting it at the door alone could earn him the most popularity. He would catch the attention of all the spheres of influence. By then, the amount of customers could easily wear out his doorstep. But everything in his store, even broken, would be repaired by the system. That being said, if someone were to vandalize the place, that person would face severe consequences. It seems that I also have to improve my abilities as quickly as possible. I am undefeatable inside the store, thanks to the system's protection. But it's a whole different thing once I'm outside. Su Ping blinked. He felt the urgency to enhance his skills. He was outstanding when you considered people of the same age group. However, he was still lacking when compared to the truly powerful warriors. Su Ping desired to become more powerful. Anyone could imagine what would happen to a weak child carrying gold bricks and swaggering across the city. Su Ping wasn't that afraid for the time being. If he messed with some tough people that he couldn't handle, worst case scenario, he could hole up in the store with his mother and sister. He would be able to go out once he grew strong enough thanks to training in cultivation plains. It was just that life would be tough to endure. It would be better if he could walk outside freely thanks to being strong enough. Su Ping was thinking as he stared at those energy points. Should he save them or use them and save more later? After much deliberation, Su Ping decided that improving his strength was the priority. Upgrading the spirit pool was important, but he couldn't pass away on a chance to enhance his strength. He pulled up the system's shop. The original force pellet wasn't offered. But he saw 2 middle-rank beast-catching rings and 2 other peculiar materials. Su Ping noticed all of a sudden that of the 2, one was what he needed. Fire Phoenix Feather. Su Ping looked at this material. The Fire Phoenix seemed to be a beast king. Could this be its feather? He looked at the price, 35,000 energy points. Su Ping pulled the corner of his mouth. So expensive. If it weren't for the fact that he had made enough money that day, he would have skipped over the material given the price. Su Ping made up his mind and bought it since it would be beneficial to his solar bulwark. No matter how expensive it was, he was just spending energy points. Using this would end up becoming part of his actual strength, which was all that mattered. I need many rare materials and elixirs to cultivate the solar bulwark's 2nd rank. The Fire Phoenix feather contains a pure fire element, just what I need. Su Ping blinked. He remembered Yi Chenshin's invitation. If he had another chance to visit the barren area, apart from searching for herbs to cure his mother's illness once and for all, he would surely look for materials useful for his cultivation. He took a look at the other merchandise. Naturally, he bought the middle-rank beast-catching rings as well. They would always come in handy. There was nothing else he needed. Su Ping threw a glance at the refresh button at the bottom. He was hesitating. 100 energy points per refresh. Should he do it? Su Ping's eyes moved up to the energy points he had. After he bought the middle-rank beast-catching ring in the Fire Phoenix feather, he had roughly 170,000 energy points left. The refresh was just 100 energy points. Sure. He made up his mind and chose to refresh. The gamble would be worthwhile if he could get the original force pellet. Soon, the page was refreshed. A mass of mist covered the 5 slots, and then receded to reveal the new items. There was no original force pellet. The middle-rank beast-catching rings that were sold were no longer available, and in their place were low-rank beast-catching rings. The other items were 3 low-rank pet foods and some unfamiliar material of no use to him. Su Ping looked at him, feeling quite distressed. 100 energy points had been wasted just like that. That was 10,000 coins. In the end, Su Ping didn't dare to refresh the store a second time. He had a feeling that he might see some useful items next time, but, given his many years of money-spending experience, he knew this feeling was often deceptive. People say that things will develop in the opposite direction when they become extreme, and out of the depths of misfortune came bliss. Those were just words people used to comfort themselves. Never mind. Spending money won't change my fate. This is just a game of luck. I will become a gambler if I become too obsessed. Su Ping persuaded himself to keep calm. He took a few deep breaths and closed the shop. Taking a look at the remaining energy points, he decided it was good to spend 100,000 on upgrading the store to the 3rd level. If the store was upgraded to the 3rd level, he could have a larger training space and more nursing pens. More importantly, advanced training in pet sales would become available. In the future, he could put the inferior pets he bred up for sale. Also, a 3rd-level store could have a test space where pets could display their skills at will without damaging the store at all. All those benefits demonstrated that spending 100,000 energy points was well worth it. Even though the 100,000 energy points were 10 million coins in reality, upgrade failed. All of a sudden, the system cautioned him, the host has not completed the prerequisites for upgrading to a 3rd-level store. First, the advanced training service is not completed. Second, the store size is not big enough. Please obtain more space for the store. The store size should be expanded to 3,000 square meters. Su Ping was startled. He almost jumped up when he heard the words, upgrade failed. He hurried to check the energy points. He felt he could breathe again when he saw the energy points still there. He would have gone ballistic if those energy points had been deducted when the upgrade failed. There are prerequisites. Su Ping frowned. He thought of the advanced training task previously assigned by the system. Was the task set up to prepare himself for the upgrade to a 3rd-level store? As for the store size, he looked around his little store. It was small indeed and not enough if he had a built-in test space, even though the system had the ability to transfer the test space to another place, like a cultivation plane. However, the pet's abilities had to be tested right in their master's presence. Therefore, the test space had to be built inside the store. To expand to 3,000 square meters, the store will be about the size of 6 basketball fields. Currently, the store is about 200 square meters. That is to say, I have to buy all the other stores nearby. Su Ping frowned. This wasn't a difficult task, but it was troublesome. Although I don't know if the other store owners nearby are willing to rent or transfer their stores, it should be okay as long as I can give them enough money. The problem is that my money is converted into energy points, and there aren't many astral coins of transactions that can't be converted. Seems like I have to find a way to make dozens of millions of astral coins first. To the general public, making money was hard. But to Su Ping, it would just involve wasting some time. He closed the panel and sat in the store, as he brooded about money-making plans. To make money, he had to rely on his advantages. Su Ping began to review his advantages. Soon, he figured out something. Private tutoring. Su Ping believed that all his expertise and skill was related to pets. Exploring the uncultivated lands, while profitable, was too risky. Besides, coming and going was too much work, and it would get in the way of his store's business. Besides that, he remembered he had been hired as a teacher. Since he could teach students of the Phoenix Peak Academy, naturally, he could teach other people as well. Having combed through his thoughts, Su Ping went to search for private tutoring websites. Soon, he found a large number of such websites. However, the rate for private tutoring was too low. At the same time, the requirement for private tutors was low. Middle-rank battle pet warriors would suffice. Usually, they would teach kids of middle-class families, and the rate was calculated by the hour. Generally speaking, the rate for 1 hour would be over 1,000 coins or 2,000 to 3,000 coins for the more expensive private tutors. This was already expensive for middle-class families. Many of those families couldn't even afford this. But for Su Ping, this price was way too low. His lecture at the Phoenix Peak Academy was 1 hour per session. He was given teachers' points for his lectures, but those points were worth more than a few thousand coins. Su Ping searched on. All of a sudden, he remembered his identity as an explorer. He thought of an idea. He logged into the Explorer's website and used the Explorer's official search engine to look for information. Soon, he saw many private tutoring websites he had not seen before. Su Ping clicked into the most popular one. On the front page was the recommendation of tutors and requirements from students. Under the tutor's introduction, there was the information about their rates as well. XX Wong profile picture senior 7th rank advanced battle pet warrior. 120,000 per hours. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 122 Longjiang Cool Dude. 120,000. Su Ping read the digits in surprise. Such a rate was pretty good for hiring a mere 7th rank battle pet warrior. Above this one, there were also famous specialists of the 8th rank who had pretty colorful frames around their pictures. Of course, their prices were higher. The cheapest among them could be hired for 350,000 an hour. Su Ping picked several random names to check. Each page showed him related information of said instructors, such as achievements, how many students had been taught in their careers, and how well these students performed afterward. Putting all the seemingly glorious achievements aside, Su Ping didn't find the results to be so impressive. He could definitely do the same. Apart from specialists, there were 12 highlighted private tutors who were titled as 9th rank battle pet warriors. Su Ping scrolled down to check their pricing. $1 million, at least. And this wasn't set by the hour. It was for each lesson. In other words, each of these guys could easily earn 10 million just by paying their student 10 visits. Their records suggested that most of them had provided a few hundred lessons during their careers. A few $100 million sounded nice, but it was actually not such a big sum for titled battle pet warriors, who were only 1 rank below legendary pet warriors. Someone as famous and influential as them could find cooperators from far and wide and enjoy constant stock revenue without doing any work. Teaching students in private was only an added bonus. As far as Su Ping knew, there was one such titled battle pet warrior in Longjiang with a personal net worth of 50 billion. As for the effectiveness of the lessons provided by titled battle pet warriors, it was pretty impressive. Most students gained a notable rise in their capabilities, such as obtaining a new skill, attaining a higher level of astral power control, or new ways to command their pets. Again, Su Ping read the reviews and found it just as possible to do the same himself. Without waiting further, he immediately went ahead to get registered. It seemed only battle pet warriors of the 7th rank or higher were allowed to become private tutors. To pass the review, Su Ping also needed the ID number of his teacher's certificate. Thankfully, Dongming Song had already helped him get one. He found the file provided by the Education Bureau, copied the required serial number, typed in a proper nickname for himself before choosing the rank to be registered at, which was the 9th rank. With this done, he could start earning money as a titled 9th rank battle pet warrior, even though he wasn't recognized as one yet. After pressing OK, he received a message that he had to provide the correct information according to his strength. Should he fail the future review, he would be permanently banned from becoming a private tutor again. He was allowed to accept students before the result of the review came out. However, if he was sued by a customer during this period, he would face a very severe punishment. In such a case, he would lose his privilege as a professor and be placed on the blacklist of the Education Bureau, which meant he would be barred from teaching in any school in Longjiang City. The penalty was usually enough to discourage most people from promising more than what they were capable of. Still, Su Ping didn't think too much about it, since he never intended to be a dedicated teacher. Besides, he was confident that he could instruct people as effectively as the introduced battle pet warriors. His customers should only care about the final results, not his rank. A list of recommended students showed up after the registration was submitted. For now, he would look for people who owned undead-type pets because he was more familiar with this category. At this moment, Xuanhuan was looking for a private teacher on the internet, so he could improve as much as he could before the Elite League commenced. The weekends were favored by common students who loved slacking off. To a hard worker like him, however, it was garbage time when he couldn't get the lessons he wanted from the academy. Teachers who know about the undead type, damn it, there's so few of them. Xuanhuan scowled when he reached the end of the page without finding many choices he could use. He possessed several undead-type astral pets. They all looked miserable on the outside, but they fought well. It wasn't like he had an odd taste for these pets. It was just that he liked being unique. It made him look cool. At least he thought so. Furthermore, rarely seen pets had another advantage over other battle pet warriors who knew little about them. The biggest problem was that raising undead-type pets took a lot of time and work. And it wasn't helpful at all when all of his classmates and even his teacher always gave him weird looks. Xuanhuan couldn't care less about what others thought about him, but he was greatly bothered by the fact that it was extremely difficult to find relevant knowledge to train his pets. He had to constantly visit teachers in private to learn something useful, because they didn't usually teach anything about the undead during scheduled lessons. Xuanhuan was noting down several specialists who claimed to be experienced in undead-type pets, when the website suddenly showed him an alert. Titled Tutor, Longjiang Cool Dude, has sent you a message. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 123 Special Evolution. Xuanhuan frowned as he read the message. Longjiang Cool Dude. What kind of name is that? A titled private tutor. He widened his eyes in joy. A titled battle pet warrior wants to help me. The message took him to a temporary chat window, where the name, Longjiang Cool Dude, was enclosed in a golden frame only available to titled tutors. Xuanhuan carefully typed his greeting so he didn't offend someone so important. Xuanhuan. Good day to you, Mr. Shy. Su Ping's response soon came. Longjiang Cool Dude. I just saw you looking for a tutor who can teach you about undead pets. I'm available right now, 1 million for each lesson. Do you need me? He wants to teach me. Xuanhuan couldn't believe what he saw. The website employed a total of 12 titled battle pet warriors to expand their business. Despite being tutors, these people didn't usually accept jobs. If a student wanted to get their help, they had to seek help via other connections. Man, did someone finally see the hidden talent in me? Nah, maybe this tutor is just feeling bored. Either way, Xuanhuan would cherish such an opportunity. $1 million sounded to be a lot, but it was worthwhile if he was going to be instructed by a titled battle pet warrior. Xuanhuan. Of course, of course. It is an honor to study with you, sir. Longjiang, cool dude. Good. When are you available? Xuanhuan. Anytime. Grinned Longjiang, cool dude. We'll meet up at 7 tonight then. Send me your address. Xuanhuan. All right. Here it is. Longjiang, cool dude. Cool. Xuanhuan. I will wait for your arrival. There's no need to hurry on the road, sir. Smile, heart. The window grayed out, which meant the tutor had gone offline. Xuanhuan breathed a sigh of relief and checked the clock. 6 hours, and he would see a titled battle pet warrior in person. This would be an exclusive moment dreamed by everyone in this city. Titled warriors were rare on this planet, and they rarely showed up in public. The academy also had a few senior professors who were titled warriors, but they had not given any lessons in ages. Oh, right, I need to prepare and look good. Maybe he'll recognize me and accept me as his personal disciple. Xuanhuan's eyes brimmed with joy. He found his best coat and headed off to a stadium nearby to get himself in top condition. Su Ping typed the final response and closed the chat window. Good. New business. The private lesson was only a detour before heading home in the evening. Easy money. It was almost time for another group of dummy trainees to come out. He went to the pet room just at the right time to see 5 pets who were booted out of their respective cultivation planes. The creatures briefly checked their new footing and calmed down. Su Ping made sure that all 5 pets had grown enough to satisfy the orders, before tossing them into the nursing space. Next, he gathered another group of pets to be trained. He didn't see any customers in the shop for half an hour, so he simply locked the door and took the Managam, the Inferno Dragon and the Purple Python into the Dragon King's heritage ground again. Without Little Skeleton, he could only reach the 5th floor of the Dragon Pillar before having to quit. The 3 pets he took were pretty much useless at that level, which meant he had to fight his way forward himself. Since he was already an intermediate 4th rank battle pet warrior, the dragon shadows in the tower also grew stronger according to his level. As he presumed, the enemy waiting at the 9th floor should be a beast king at this rate. After leaving the tower, he continued to cleanse the dragon scale lands by ordering his pets to deal with enemies at the front. Apart from enemies, those landscapes also had all kinds of valuable herbs and treasures hidden everywhere. Sadly, he couldn't take them away since none of them were real. The pets visibly improved by the end of the exploration, with the Managam being the champion of all, who successfully evolved when battling against a demon-type monster. Rather, it wasn't a common evolution but some sort of metamorphosis. Usually, a Managam could turn into a 4th rank silver moonhound with enough training and growth. In Su Ping's case, however, it became a dark dragon hound instead. A dark dragon hound was no longer a common canine, it had turned into a demon-type astral pet. It was a positive transformation, because a dark dragon hound had the potential of reaching the 6th rank. The hound had grown bigger than an adult lion at the moment. If Su Ping wanted, he could ride it on the streets. Only a small part of the silver fur of the original Managam remained, which was intermingled with a pitch-black, glossy coat, giving the creature a rather strange style. Also, the roar of the dark dragon hound then carried the might of a real dragon, probably because it learned such a thing when surviving inside the dragon tower. The Inferno Dragon and the Purple Python grew in size and strength, especially the Inferno Dragon, who had almost reached teenagehood when it had only existed in this world for a few days. Moreover, such growth was not the result of hasty work. All the excessive training and battle experience helped the Inferno Dragon become better than pets of the same rank. The dragon was currently at the 3rd rank. Still, it was strong enough to confront something of the upper 4th rank. Or it could use its dragon roar to briefly stun 5th rank opponents. As for the purple python, it had gotten sturdy enough to strangle something of its own size to death with its scaled body. That day's exploration helped him cleanse several more dragon scales. With the work done, Su Ping planned to rest in the shop and perhaps receive some customers before the end of the day. He did welcome 2 students before closing the shop, both of whom came by following the rumors. By training their low-rank pets, Su Ping secured another 200 energy points in his pocket. The day was darkening. After calling several customers to pick up their pets the following day while ignoring their queries, he left the shop and found a taxi to head to his student's place. As soon as he departed, a figure appeared behind a tree next to the shop. Su Lingyu had been keeping an eye on the shop for the whole day. She wanted to find out where so many pets ended up at, or where that master trainer was. But no matter how she looked, she only saw Su Ping and Su Ping alone tending to the shop. She could have gone closer to peek through the door but didn't do it, since Su Ping was good enough to detect her. Where the hell is he going at such an hour? She bit her lips and decided to follow the taxi. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 124 Aries Academy. The taxi drove out of the lower city and entered the downtown area where most commercial resources and rich people gathered. It was rare for Su Ping to come to this place where everything looked clean and tidy. He couldn't help but look at all the random passers-by, all of whom seemed to be millionaires with tender and smooth skin who never partook in physical labor. Though he was sure that being a millionaire meant nothing there. Instead, it was an entry-level requirement for being called a downtown citizen. Then he thought about his home with a grim mood. It couldn't be denied that people were born different, while most of them would stay at the same level for the rest of their lives. He didn't care though. As someone who knew how death felt like, that superficial stuff meant little to him. A moment later, the driver parked the vehicle at the entrance of a quiet community district. It was one of the most costly housing areas because the design helped the residents enjoy peaceful lifestyles, even though some of the busiest streets were around. The taxi fare was 1,802 yuan, which was pretty crazy by normal standards. Though it couldn't be helped since the drive involved going through several expensive highway toll checkpoints before entering the city center. Su Ping checked the name of the community before going inside, but he was stopped by several guards. "What do you want?" a middle-aged security man asked him while tilting his head slightly away, as if Su Ping carried some kind of unpleasant smell. The guards recognized him as a scum the moment he stepped off the car. Su Ping didn't look filthy as far as his looks were concerned. Though it was written at the core of rich citizens that they should discriminate against lower civilians. Su Ping wasn't pleased to receive such treatment, though he wasn't going to waste his time arguing. He simply told the guards that someone had invited him. While doubting his words, the guards verified his claim and phoned his customer, who immediately told them to let Su Ping inside, much to their confusion. As they believed, only the richest people or their families could live there. After hanging up, Xuanhuan immediately went to the entrance of the building to wait for his tutor. He would have gone to the gate to greet Su Ping himself if not for the size of this district. Excited, he saw the guards coming, and was astounded to see who was being escorted. "That can't be my tutor, can it? Maybe that's his assistant or something. That would be so disappointing." But it couldn't be helped. Many titled tutors tended to get busy all of a sudden and asked their helpers to do their jobs. "Here we are," a guard politely showed Su Ping the way. "Mr. Zhu, this is the gentleman who asked to see you." Xuanhuan forced up a smile and sent the guards away, before addressing Su Ping as politely as he could. "Are you his student?" Or, "I am, Longjiang, cool dude." Su Ping smiled back and bowed slightly. Xuanhuan was too shocked to speak for a moment. "You're that wait, what? Longjiang, cool dude, sir." "Yeah, Xuanhuan, is it? I read your info and how you use a bunch of undead-type astral pets. It just so happens that I'm kind of an expert about these creatures, so here I am." Xuanhuan's cheeks turned red with rage. Is this some kind of a joke? Teach me, you. How the fuck did you get past registration? Oh, I know, you weren't screened yet. Well, I'll report you right now. Su Ping knew that his young look would get him into some kind of trouble, but not to such an extent. You can't say for sure until we try, can you? You're free to report me if my lesson doesn't work out. Try. Try what? Do you know who I am? I'm a top-class student from the Ares Academy. Who the heck are you? Huh. Just like his name, Xuanhuan was always an overconfident elite who always considered himself to be better than his peers. He still respected those who were worthy of his recognition, such as champions of the elite league. As for other people, he didn't give a shit about them, let alone Su Ping, who looked more common than a commoner. This bastard wants to teach me. I wonder if he can last 5 seconds in a fight. And I called him, sir. I used cute emotes. I'm gonna kill. Su Ping interrupted Xuanhuan's thoughts. Careful with your words, my friend. Well, you can do nothing about it. Xuanhuan took out his phone. I'll spare you the beating, loser. I will simply report this matter to the site. Boom. His phone exploded, sending several fragments of the screen flying toward his face. Before Xuanhuan could recover from the shock, he felt his body being lifted off the ground. It was a powerful force that grabbed him by the collar. The seemingly useless young man in front of him just lifted him up with one hand. Xuanhuan wanted to resist, but as soon as he saw the merciless killing intent shown in Su Ping's eyes, he felt his entire body freeze due to fear. He never felt so close to death before. Something told him that this man would kill him without a second thought. No matter how he tried, he couldn't pry the vice grip at his neck by an inch. He wanted to summon his pets, but his body felt too cold to do so. Are top-class students from the best academy of this city all like you? Su Ping questioned in a cold voice. Xuanhuan's entire face grew red again due to both rage and suffocation. When Su Ping let him go, Xuanhuan managed to stumble back to balance without falling. He shook some cold sweat off his arm and looked at Su Ping again, only to be reminded of the terrifying experience from a few years back when he encountered an undead-type astral pet for the first time. It was as if he were looking at another undead. An awfully strong one. Come, I don't have much time to waste. If the lesson fails, you can report me all you want. But if you file a false report, I'll beat you to a pulp. Su Ping meant those words, and Xuanhuan knew it. Xuanhuan suddenly remembered that a teacher at least needed a certificate to get registered at the website, which meant Su Ping was indeed a teacher. Yet he still felt bad that this, titled Battle Pet Warrior, looked younger than himself. What was worse, he was the one spending money, and he almost got pummeled. He considered and decided to play it safe for the moment. Maybe he couldn't fight this, Longjiang cool dude, directly, but he could always ask for help later. Fine. Come with me. Xuanhuan rubbed his sore throat and led the way. Su Ping was a bit embarrassed because the beginning of their private lesson almost looked like a robbery. Not his fault, though. A moment later, they arrived at a well-supplied and well-equipped stadium facility at the center of the district. This was another privilege people could enjoy in this expensive commune. There were 2 young men and a woman chatting while resting on a bench. They greeted Xuanhuan as they saw him arrive. Xuanhuan saw his schoolmates and answered back. Working out again. One of the students said, of course. The league will begin soon. Who doesn't want to give it a try? Xuanhuan, SI, arrogant. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 125 Su Ping's Dragon Roar. Xuanhuan, who is this with you? The girl who was drinking juice asked in surprise when she noticed Su Ping standing behind Xuanhuan. Those were familiar with each other since all of them studied at the Ares Academy and happened to live in the same community. The 2 young men noticed Su Ping as well. Su Ping seemed around their age. Was he a new resident there? Was he a student from the Ares Academy? Xuanhuan seemed to be embarrassed when they asked about Su Ping. He couldn't tell them directly that Su Ping was a private tutor he found online. If he spelled out this fact, his glamorous days at school would come to an end. He would be the laughingstock for all the students at the academy. He's a friend of mine who came to visit. Xuanhuan made up such an excuse to fool them. He didn't mention that he had been threatened by Su Ping, either. It would be more shameful if people knew that he had found a private tutor of his same age and that he had been beaten by the latter. Oh. Knowing that Su Ping was not a new resident, those present lost their interest. They operated in a small circle as well. Anyone that wanted to join in had to be of the same strength and background. Why don't you go and have some rest? Let me and my friend have a try here. Xuanhuan didn't want to stay there any longer. Sure. See you later. Then they shifted back to their previous conversation. Su Ping was happy since Xuanhuan was sensible enough to spare him the nonsense. He followed Xuanhuan to a battle venue. This was a battle venue with a diversity of scenes, including ponds, a small lava section, grass, woods, etc., quite suitable for the training of most pets. After Su Ping stepped into the venue, Xuanhuan plugged his card in the metal slot behind the door and typed in the password to close the door. Then, he stepped to the center of the venue and summoned his pets at the same time. As several of his main pets were summoned, he felt more secure. He turned around, pulled a long face, and said to Su Ping, who was standing by the door, "Didn't you say that you were going to teach me? Now, teach me." Looking at the resentment written all over Xuanhuan's face, Su Ping raised his eyebrows. "What? You're still unconvinced?" Xuanhuan didn't waste another second with Su Ping. He groaned and mentally ordered his pets to attack him. He had been overwhelmed by Su Ping's physical strength, but that was nothing special. Using pets to fight was the key. After all, they were battle pet warriors, not martial art warriors. Roar. The soul-feasting beast was the first to come to Su Ping. This pet had reached the 5th rank and was a pet of the undead family skilled at spiritual attacks. This pet feasted on dead souls and it looked like a ball of murky gray mist. From the ball of mist came out miserable cries that would freeze your blood. This strange and terrifying appearance was enough to scare many people away. Behind the soul-feasting beast was a swamp creeper, a pet with a bloodline of the 6th rank. At the moment, this pet had almost reached the peak of its strength, currently at the upper position of the 5th rank. The swamp creeper appeared to be even more hideous. It was covered with what looked like rotting mud, but it wasn't real mud. The mud-like tissue was part of its body, which was at the moment moving rapidly on the ground, like a gigantic human, but put together with the hands and feet of some monsters. The swamp creeper left a foul-smelling stain wherever it touched. This was why undead pets were disgusting. While the 2 5th-rank pets started their attacks, another pet stayed with Xuanhuan and observed. "Let's see how you can keep your arrogance." Profound killing intent glistened in Xuanhuan's eyes. He didn't mean to actually kill Su Ping, but that intention was thriving in his heart. It was unlikely that he would remain unaffected by the pets of the undead family after being with them for so long. His mood swings were more intense when compared to normal people. Su Ping raised his eyebrows as he watched those 2 adorable pets coming at him, making threatening gestures. He shook his head and commented, "Soul-feasting beasts are good at spiritual attacks, but you made it move forward. Given its current rank, the range of its spiritual attacks is 50 meters. It should have stayed with you to remain protected. Are you planning on using it to threaten your opponents by risking it?" He shook his head again as he saw the swamp creeper that had reached him. He couldn't help but heave a sigh. Swamp creeper, its name indicates what kind of environment is more suitable to it. Even without a swamp available, you shouldn't have sent the swamp creeper out when you're standing on sand. The dried and hard sand grains on the ground will slow the swamp creeper down by a large margin. Besides, the part under its stomach and the countless mud tendrils under its foreclaws will be damaged by the dry sand as well. This is detrimental to the swamp creeper. As he made those remarks, he made a move and dodged the swamp creeper's tongue and claws. The swamp creeper kept going after him. Having no other choice, he grabbed the swamp creeper's slim, long, mud-covered arm and made a turn. Leveraging the tremendous strength on his arms, Su Ping hurled the 4-meter swamp creeper away. But he didn't do so to harm the swamp creeper. He threw it to a pond so that the swamp creeper could have some rest. At the same time, that soul-feast beast had enveloped Su Ping. The dreary cries and screams were enough to make anyone collapse, especially girls. Roar. Su Ping's throat grew in size slightly and he opened his mouth. He let out a dragon's roar. That wasn't a simple roar. It contained astral powers, sonic waves, and some deterrence effects. The soul-feast beast's mist-like body tumbled, like tides. It moved away from Su Ping at once and kept a distance of over a dozen meters. The dreary cries and screams in the mist quieted down as well. The soul-feast beast was definitely scared. Su Ping had listened to enough roars at the Dragon King's heritage ground. Even the monogram had picked up the dragon's roar, not to mention Su Ping himself. Though given the structure of humans' throats, his dragon's roar was not the real one, he did try to adjust it with astral powers and alter his throat at the cultivation sites. During the many attempts, he even strangled himself to death once. Later on, he came across a method. He just needed to adjust his Adam's apple. By doing this, he could protect his throat. Usually, it would be difficult for battle pet warriors to do this with their throats. However, since he studied the solar bulwark, he wasn't any weaker than the average dragons when it came to physical strength. The same was true for the strength of his throat. This roar didn't only deter the soul-feast beast, but it also shocked Xuanhuan. What did he hear? Was that dragon's roar? How could a human roar like a dragon? Time to stop messing around. Having scared away the soul-feast beast, Su Ping frowned and shouted to Xuanhuan at the distance. In the meantime, he stepped towards Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan came back to his senses. Su Ping was walking closer and closer. Xuanhuan couldn't help but revisit the images of Su Ping's terrifying and cold looks in his mind. Goosebumps burst out all over Xuanhuan's skin. He regretted locking the door. If Su Ping meant him any harm, Xuanhuan would have no way out. I am sorry. Xuanhuan's voice was trembling. That killing intent in his heart had vanished. He had seen reality. Su Ping had subdued 2 of his pets by only relying on his strength. Only advanced battle pet warriors could have done this. Xuanhuan found it hard to believe that an advanced battle pet warrior could be this young. That being said, he would never dare to offend Su Ping again. End of the chapter. Astral Pets Store will be read in 5 chapters for every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.